The stars above Earth were burning with war. Every orbiting satellite had turned into debris, every fleet into flame. What was once the proud home of billions now lay broken beneath a dark sky streaked with falling wrecks. Among the ashes of humanity's last hope, one ship still moved the Sol's wrath. Command vessel of Commander Aiden Cross. Aiden stood at the center of the bridge, staring at the glowing tactical map before him. Only 12 Earth defense stations were still operational. The Dominion fleet, 1,000 alien warships strong, surrounded the planet like a metal storm. The last order he had received from the Global Council was clear: hold until the end. His crew worked silently around him. Every officer knew there was no retreat. The Dominion had come to finish the war humanity had started by fighting back years ago. But no one expected that their enemy's leader would be an Empress who ruled half the galaxy. Aiden had heard her name whispered in both fear and respect. Empress. Lyra of Vikar. The cum officer suddenly looked up. Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the Dominion flagship. Auden frowned. Visual. No, sir. It's a private audio channel. Encoded in strangely addressed directly to you. He hesitated. There was no reason an Empress would contact him, the last commander of a dying world. Still curiosity or perhaps duty made him nod. Patch it through. The bridge fell silent as a soft voice filled the air. Commander Aiden Cross. I am Lyra of Vikar. Aiden didn't answer at first. The voice wasn't what he expected. It carried neither threat nor arrogance, but a tired calm. Like someone standing on the edge of a storm. You have fought well, she continued. Your courage honors your species. But this war must end. Your planet cannot survive another assault. And call off your fleets, Aiden said sharply. You're the one leading them. I lead them, Lyra replied, but I do not control all of them. My council fears humanity. They see your defiance as a disease that could spread through the stars. Her words struck deeper than Aiden expected. For years, he had seen the Dominion as a cold empire of machines and conquerors. Now, for the first time, he heard doubt behind its voice. Why tell me this? He asked. Because, she said softly, I did not order the destruction of your cities. It was done in my name while I tried to stop it. You must understand I never wished for your extinction. Aiden looked out the viewport. Below him, Earth's night side glowed faintly red from burning countenance. It was hard to believe anyone in the Dominion could feel remorse, yet something in her tone made him pause. I don't expect your forgiveness, she added, but I wanted you to know the truth before my council ends. What is left of your resistance? The final strike begins in 3 days. Her voice trembled slightly on those last words. Then the channel ended, leaving the bridge in heavy silence. Aiden turned to his officers, who stared at him with questions they dared not ask. Maintain readiness, he ordered quietly. No one mentions this transmission. That night he couldn't sleep. The image of Lyra's voice, its sorrow and restraint stayed with him. Could she be lying? But his instincts told him otherwise. After decades of war, humans had learned to read deceit quickly. What he sensed was something else, a kind of despair. By morning, he made a decision that surprised even himself. He ordered a secure channel open toward the Dominion flagship. When her voice returned, it was quieter, almost relieved. You risk much by answering, Commander. I've already lost everything, Aiden said. A few more risks won't matter. Tell me something. Why contact me, of all people? Because you're the only one still fighting for Earth without hatred, she said. Your records show mercy even to captured Dominion soldiers. That gives me hope that peace is not impossible. He almost laughed. Peace. You think that word means anything now? Not now, she said sadly, but perhaps someday. Someone must be brave enough to start. Their conversation stretched longer than intended. They spoke about war, duty, and the weight of command. She told him about the endless pressure of her throne, the constant fear of losing control to her advisors. He spoke about his crew, about the silence of space after the last friendly signal fades. Neither expected to find comfort in the enemy's words, yet they did. As the second night passed, Aiden began to see her not as an empress, but as a person, someone as trapped by war as he was. And for Lyra, the human's defiance felt strangely pure. No flattery, no fear. Just honesty. On the third day, the Dominion fleets began to move. Thousands of ships aligned their cannons toward Earth. The final assault had come. Aiden stood before the bridge window again, watching as the enemy's formation stretched across the horizon like a metal curtain. "Commander," his officer said nervously, "should we engage?" Aiden's jaw tightened. Not yet, and his private console blinked with an incoming message, no encryption. No command code, just a simple signal from the Dominion flagship. He opened it. Lyra's image appeared this time, a hologram, faint and flickering. Her silver eyes held something close to sorrow. "Aiden, my council has ordered me to destroy your planet personally. They believe hesitation is weakness." He clenched his fists. "Then don't do it. You're their ruler. Defy them. If I disobey, they will remove me," she said. "But if I obey, I lose what little soul I have left." For a moment, neither spoke. The silence between them carried the weight of worlds. Finally, Aiden said quietly, "You once told me someone must be brave enough to start peace. Maybe that someone is you." She looked away. "And if they kill me for it?" "Then your name will outlive every general who obeyed," he said. "History remembers those who defied hate, not those who served it." Her eyes met his again. In that instant, something passed between them, trust, perhaps even something deeper. She nodded once. "Then let me give you something human. A chance." She transmitted a string of coordinates. "This is a relay hidden behind Saturn's rings. If you reach it, you can intercept our fleet's core communication net. It will show you proof of who started this war. Use it." Before he could reply, her signal cut off. Dominion scanners had likely detected their link. Aiden turned to his crew. "Plot course to these coordinates." "Sir, that's outside the combat zone." "I know," he said. "Do it." Saul's wrath accelerated, its engines burning blue against the void. Behind them, Earth shook under the first wave of orbital fire. Every instinct screamed to stay and defend his home. But something stronger drove him forward, the belief that if he could prove the Empress's innocence, humanity might still have a future. Hours later, as they reached the relay, Aiden saw the proof unfold on his console. Video logs, council commands, falsified orders, all pointing to a single truth. The Dominion's war had been built on fear, not justice. The Empress had tried to stop it from the start. He leaned back, staring at the stars. He had spent his whole life believing aliens were incapable of compassion. Now one alien had risked everything to save both their worlds, as he transmitted the data back to surviving human colonies. He sent a final encrypted message addressed only to her. "I have seen the truth. You are not my enemy." No reply came. The Dominion fleet was still advancing toward Earth, and Aiden knew time was running out. Yet for the first time in years, he felt something other than despair. Somewhere out there, beyond the burning sky, an alien Empress had chosen hope over obedience, and somehow, that made him believe humanity might still deserve saving. The hidden relay near Saturn glowed faintly as Saul's wrath drifted close to it. Inside the ship, Commander Aiden Cross watched the data flow across the main screen. The files from the Dominion network were clearer than he hoped. Every line of code, every transmission, showed how the Dominion Council had twisted the truth. They had forged evidence to claim that humanity had attacked first, using it to justify invasion. The Empress had tried to stop them, and was overruled. Aiden's chest felt tight as he scrolled through the evidence. The Dominion was not united, was controlled by fear and lies. He knew if this data reached the right people, the war could end. But the question burned in his mind. Why would the Empress risk everything for him? He replayed her last message again. "You are not my enemy," she had said. The tone of her voice stayed with him, soft and strong at the same time. He didn't understand it, but he trusted her more than he trusted any human leader who had abandoned him in the field. The officer beside him, Lieutenant Harper, broke his silence. "Sir, if the Dominion discovers we have this data, they'll hunt us through every system. They already will, Aiden said calmly. Plot a route to the edge of their territory. Harper frowned. You're not thinking of going into their space? I am, Aiden answered. If we send this from Earth, they'll intercept it before it spreads. We need to reach their capital directly. Only there can we show the truth to the galaxy. The crew looked at him in disbelief, but no one spoke against him. They had seen him hold the line when all others fell. If he said the impossible was worth trying, they would follow. As the engines powered up, Aiden sat in his chair, staring out at the darkness. Somewhere beyond those stars, Lyra was facing her council, surrounded by betrayal. He wondered if she was still alive, far away. Aboard the Dominion flagship Eternal Light, Empress Lyra stood before a circle of high counselors. Their glowing eyes judged her from the shadows of the chamber. Your hesitation cost us victory. The Prime Counselor hissed. You promised to burn their last fleet. I promised to end the war, Lyra replied steadily. Not to destroy a world already on its knees. The humans are dangerous, another counselor said. You know what their kind has done? Experiments, weapons, defiance. They cannot be trusted. Neither can we if we murder them all, Lyra answered. What makes us different from the monsters we claim to destroy? Her words echoed through the chamber. Some counselors looked away. Others glared with anger. The Prime Counselor's voice turned cold. Be careful, Your Majesty. Sympathy for the enemy can sound a lot like treason. Lyra did not flinch. Then call it what you wish. I will not lead my people through another age of blood. She turned and left the hall before they could answer. Her heart raced as she stepped into her private chamber. For the first time in years, she felt fear not for herself, but for what was coming. The council would not tolerate defiance. She needed to act before they stripped her of command. She activated a hidden console and searched for Saul's wrath. To her surprise, she found it moving toward Dominion space. Aiden, she whispered, what are you doing? Moments later, she sent a coded message through a narrow wormhole network only she could access. When Aiden received it, the bridge fell silent again. Her voice came through faintly, filled with tension. Commander Cross, my council knows something has been stolen. They've ordered fleets to intercept you. Whatever you're planning, stop before they find you, he answered. Then you already know what I'm planning. Can't win in Dominion territory, she said quickly. Every gate, every beacon will mark your ship. They'll destroy you before you reach orbit. Maybe, he said, but if I stop now, Earth dies, and you lose your throne. I'm not giving up. There was a pause. Then her voice softened. You're risking your life for people who might already be gone. I'm risking it because someone believed I was worth saving, he said quietly. For a moment she said nothing. Then her voice lowered. If you truly mean to reach my world, come through the southern wormhole chain. It's not patrolled yet. I'll cover your entry. Before Aiden could thank her, the transmission ended. The bridge lights dimmed as the ship entered the wormhole. The jump was rough. Arms blared, lights flickered, the hull creaked. But when the turbulence stopped, a new star system filled the viewport. Viakar primed the Dominion capital. The world below glowed like a jewel of white and violet clouds. Around it hung a ring of defense stations and silver warships. The moment Saul's wrath appeared, warning sirens filled the air. Dominion fleet approaching. Harper shouted. Aiden stood calmly. Hold fire, sir, they're locking weapons. Before he could answer, another ship appeared between them, a massive royal cruiser with the insignia of the Empress. It positioned itself directly in front of Saul's wrath, blocking the Dominion's aim. A voice boomed across every frequency in the system. It was Lyra. This human vessel is under my protection. Stand down, all forces. Her words sent a shockwave through the Dominion network. Generals and admirals hesitated. No one dared open fire on the royal flagship. Inside Saul's wrath, the crew exchanged stunned looks. Harper whispered, she's shielding us, sir. She's really doing it. Aiden didn't answer. He stared at her ship on the screen, feeling something he hadn't in a long time hope. The council's reply came seconds later. Your Majesty, this act is treason. The human must be destroyed. Withdraw immediately. Lyra's response echoed across the system. No, the war ends now. I will speak the truth. Her voice reached every channel, even the civilian networks across the Dominion. Millions watched as their ruler declared that the war was built on lies. She revealed the falsified evidence, the secret orders, the cruelty hidden behind the Council's commands. Her courage ignited a storm. Some fleets refused to obey the Council's counterorders. Others shut down their weapons. A few fired anyway, unwilling to lose power. The sky around Vikar erupted in confusion, ships clashing, fleets splitting, orders collapsing. Aiden's ship shook violently as stray blasts hit nearby. Commander Harper shouted, "We can't stay here." Transmit the data to her network, Aiden ordered. Every channel we can reach. The data transfer began, flooding across Dominion frequencies. Inside her cruiser, Lyra stood at the center of her command deck. Keep them covered, she ordered her guards. No one touches that human ship. Her loyal officers obeyed, fighting off Council warships that tried to break through. Explosions flared across the void, lighting her face in flashes of blue and gold. In the middle of chaos, she saw Saul's wrath drifting dangerously close to the upper atmosphere. Its shields flickered, engines failing. Commander Cross, she called through the channel, "You're burning up." "Pull back, not until the last file is sent," Aiden replied. "If this truth dies with us, then none of this matters. Your bravery will mean nothing if you die now." "Then I'll die for something I believe in," he said. For a moment she couldn't speak. In her heart, something fierce and painful bloomed, a mix of anger, fear, and admiration. She turned to her officers. "Bring him in. Use the tractor field." Blue lights surrounded the human vessel. Slowly, her cruiser pulled Saul's wrath into the protection of its hangar bay. The Dominion fleets around them continued their struggle, but inside that hangar, time seemed to slow. As Aiden stepped out of his ship, exhausted and covered in ash from the fires aboard, he saw her waiting. No guards between them, no weapons drawn. Just the Empress herself, standing tall in her silver armor. They faced each other in silence. She looked at him, the man who had risked everything for a world not his own. He looked at her, the ruler who had defied her entire empire for a chance at peace. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered. "You knew I would," he replied. Their eyes locked for a long moment. The war raged outside, but here, in the quiet hangar of the Empress's ship, two enemies finally stood as allies. She stepped closer, her voice low. "If the Council wins this day, they will kill us both." "Then let's make sure they don't," Aiden said. Her expression softened. For the first time since the war began, she smiled, small, uncertain, but real. "Then we fight together, human." And outside, the stars burned brighter, as if the universe itself was watching the beginning of something it had never seen before, a bond strong enough to challenge the hatred of two worlds. The hangar trembled as explosions echoed outside. The Dominion capital orbit was a storm of fire and betrayal. Loyalists to the Empress fought against the Council's armadas, and in between them floated two ships. Eternal Light and Saul's wrath sheltered together inside a temporary ceasefire bubble created by the Empress herself. Commander Aiden Cross stood beside Empress Lyra on the upper observation deck, both watching the chaos beyond the transparent shield. Fleets of alien ships drifted in flames, their debris turning the dark sky into rivers of sparks. "They will come for you," Aiden said quietly. "For both of us," I know, Lyra replied. Her voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed the storm within. "The Council has called an emergency session. They will summon me soon and demand my submission. And if you refuse, then they'll crown another Empress before the sun sets," she said softly. Aiden turned to face her. "You can still escape. You could hide until the rebellion grows strong enough to stand." She looked at him with faint sadness. "And leave my people in the hands of cowards?" "No, Commander. If I run, everything we've done will mean nothing. Someone has to face them. Someone has to say the truth aloud where all can hear." Aiden hesitated, his jaw tight. He had spent years fighting for humanity's survival, never expecting that he would one day defend an alien ruler. Yet here she stood, braver than any politician he had ever served. He finally said, "Then you won't face them alone." Her eyes softened at his words. "You are a strange man, Aiden Cross. Even in defeat, you still choose to stand beside others." "Maybe that's what being human means," he said with a faint smile. "We don't stop standing, no matter how bad it gets." Lyra looked back at the burning stars. "Then let's show them what humanity truly is." Moments later, her ship descended into the great spire city of Vicar Prime. Towering crystal structures reached into the clouds, their surfaces reflecting the blue fire of battle above. At the base of the palace, a vast assembly waited: the High Council, military commanders, and hundreds of recording drones ready to broadcast across the galaxy. Aiden followed her through the grand hall. Every alien guard turned their gaze toward him, whispering in disbelief. A human had never stepped foot on their capital alive. The Empress walked straight ahead, unshaken, her long silver robe trailing behind her like flowing light at the far end. Of the chamber stood the council's throne, circle 7 figures cloaked in darkness, their eyes glowing with judgment. The Prime Counselor's voice rang out. "Empress Lyra of Vicar, you stand accused of treason against the Dominion. You have shielded the enemy, disobeyed military command, and spread lies through the communication networks." Lyra stopped before them, lifting her chin. "The only lies are yours. You deceived our people into this war. You forged evidence against humanity to maintain your control. You made me your mask while you spread fear across the stars." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The counselors rose, their robes fluttering with anger. "You dare speak falsehoods before your own empire?" "I speak the truth," she said firmly, "and I have proof." At her signal, a holographic display bloomed in the air above the chamber. The Dominion's false transmissions appeared for all to see: the forged attack orders, the hidden council votes, the messages proving that humanity had never been the aggressor. The crowd murmured louder. Some shouted in shock. Others turned pale with shame. The Prime Counselor's voice broke through the noise. "Enough. These are fabricated." Lyra gestured toward Aiden, who stepped forward. "This human risked his life to bring these files from the Dominion's own network. Every word is real." The counselors glared at him. "A human's word means nothing here." "Maybe not," Aiden said calmly, "but your people can see the truth with their own eyes." For a long moment, the hall was filled only with silence. Then one of the younger counselors slammed his staff against the floor. "Guards, arrest them both." Before the soldiers could move, voices from the audience rose in protest. "Let her speak." Someone shouted, "Show us the rest." The crowd was turning. The truth had already taken root. Lyra raised her voice again. "You can silence me, but you cannot silence every soul who has seen this. The age of fear is ending." The Prime Counselor pointed toward her. "You've doomed yourself, Empress." He raised a small control device, but before he could press it, Aiden stepped forward. His hand moved fast, knocking the device away. The guards charged instantly. Aiden caught one soldier's strike, twisting the weapon aside. He didn't kill, lamely disarmed, moving with practiced precision. The crowd screamed as chaos erupted inside the grand hall. Lyra's loyal guards rushed in, forming a shield around her. "Get her out of here," Aiden shouted. "No," she called back. "If I run now, they'll twist this again." He turned toward her, his breath heavy. "If you die, peace dies with you." Her eyes met his. For a brief moment she hesitated, and then nodded. Together, they moved toward the exit, as blaster fire echoed across the chamber. Smoke filled the hall. Outside, Loyalist fleets began to rally, their signals spreading through the Dominion's networks. Across the planet, people took to the streets, demanding an end to the Council's rule. By nightfall, palace gates were surrounded by citizens chanting the Empress's name. Lyra stood at the balcony, her voice broadcast across every world under Dominion control. "My people," she said, her voice steady, I was raised to believe strength came from domination, but I have learned that true strength lies in mercy, in courage, and in hope. The humans we feared showed me this. They defended their home, not for conquest, but for love. We must learn from them. Today, I end the war. The declaration spread like wildfire. Across distant systems, Dominion ships powered down. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Some cried openly, realizing what they had fought for was never real. Aiden stood beside her as the crowd roared below. He felt the weight lift from his heart. For years, he had fought in darkness. Now, for the first time, he saw light. Later that night, when the cheering had faded and the city was quiet, Lyra walked with Aiden through the royal gardens. The air was cool, carrying the scent of alien flowers that glowed softly under the twin moons. "You changed everything," he said quietly. He shook his head. "No, you did. I only showed you what was already inside you." She smiled faintly. "You speak as if I were human." "Maybe you are," he said, "in all the ways that matter." They stopped beside a pool, reflecting the stars. For a long moment, neither spoke. The war was over, but peace still felt fragile, like glass waiting to break. Finally, she said, "What will you do now?" Aiden looked toward the horizon, where Earth's distant sun shone faintly in the night sky. "I'll go home. Help rebuild. Maybe teach people that not all aliens are monsters." She nodded slowly. "And I will teach mine that not all humans are threats." Their eyes met again. So much had been lost. Friends, worlds, years, but what remained between them felt unshakable. When he finally turned to leave, she took a step closer. "Aiden," she said softly, "the galaxy will never forget what you did." He smiled. "Neither will I forget you." For a heartbeat, she wanted to tell him not to go, to ask him to stay, but she stopped herself. Leaders had duties. Hearts had their own paths. Instead, she said, "If the stars ever bring you back to Vicar, the gates will open for you." He nodded. "And if Earth ever sees your fleet again, I'll make sure they greet you as a friend." The wind moved between them, carrying unspoken words. Then Aiden stepped away, boarding Saul's Wrath for one last flight home. As his ship lifted through the clouds, Lyra watched from her balcony. The blue glow of his engines faded into the night, leaving only the reflection of the stars. For the first time in her life, the Empress felt free. Weeks later, news spread across the stars. The Dominion Council had been dismantled. A new alliance was forming, and Earth was among the first to join. Trade ships crossed what had once been war zones. Children on both worlds learned each other's languages. At the first interstellar summit, years later, the crowd fell silent as Empress Lyra entered the Grand Hall. Standing across from her was an older Aiden Cross, wearing the uniform of Earth's new peace fleet. Their eyes met from across the room, and both smiled, no need for words. The galaxy watched as they walked toward each other, not as enemies, but as two souls who had once defied the stars. The historians would later write that the war ended through diplomacy and courage. But those who knew the truth would say it ended because a human and an alien. Empress believed in something far stronger than fear. Love had reshaped the fate of two worlds in the universe, would never be the same again.